Hello and welcome to another episode of the Retain podcast on the GrowthAmped channel. My guest today is Jacob Smedley, founder of Smedley Digital, a boutique SEO agency out of Round Rock, Texas. Jacob spent years doing SEO for big brands like Honda and Acura inside agencies like the WPP Group. And he's still a full-time SEO consultant at the Publicis Group today. Please welcome Jacob Smedley. Hey, Jacob, thank you for being with us.
Hey, everybody. And hi. You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
My pleasure. So, quite a journey, and we're excited to dig in. So, just walk us through your path from working in-house for major clients like Honda, Acura, and Principal, and Dow, to name a few, at the WPP Group, and now to launching Smedley Digital in 2017 as a solopreneur. So, yeah, talk us through that.
Yeah. Well, like you said, actually started out with Smedley Digital to even form a portfolio worth getting a full-time job. I wanted that security. I'm not quite as fond of risk as entrepreneurs probably should be, right? So I wanted security of a full-time job. So I started Smedley Digital to build a portfolio. Interesting stat. I believe it's 2/3 of all entry-level jobs require 3 years of experience. So how are you going to make that compute? Well, I'll just do it on my own. Gained enough experience to get an offer for an in-house SEO job with Fairway Mortgage. That was a huge blessing. And then I got an offer to work with WPP Group as a senior SEO specialist. Fast forward a few years, and now I'm with actually their biggest competitor, which is Publicis Group, also doing SEO for them. But the whole way through the full-time gigs, I've been doing Smedley Digital really to keep me sane and to keep me motivated and going forward. It can feel kind of like when you're at corporate jobs, it can feel pretty slow, trudging through mud sometimes. As great of a blessing as they are to me, Smedley Digital keeps me excited because I need a carrot in front of me at all times.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've thought of it as I try to save most of my paycheck from the agencies, but then with Smedley Digital, that's what funds my fun stuff. So that makes it even more motivating to keep going. Anyway, it was a tough path getting here. There's no formal pathway for SEO at all. You kind of have to prove yourself in the real world. Hopefully that answers it.
It's a great explanation. And it's very similar to the philosophy these days, right? Most people today have multiple income streams or are trying to get multiple income streams so they can use one to pay the mortgage, use another one to pay for some other expense, and then use one to pay for a vacation. And in your case, it seems like you figured this out before everybody else here, pre-AI, right?
Yeah.
When we look back, I think decades from now, just like time is reported in BC and AD, we're going to start thinking, is it pre-AI or after AI?
Well, I already do that when I'm trying to evaluate whether a video is real or not. What was made in 2018, this is actually real. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. So as a founder of a lean 4-person specialist team, right, how do you split your day-to-day between SEO strategy, project management, and business development? Because you've got to take care of all these aspects.
Yeah, there's no formula I could give for success. You have to do what you got to do when you wear as many hats as that. I think probably my client relations skills with Smedley Digital is almost as important as the SEO work. They have a lot of questions. They need things explained. It's totally fair. I enjoy doing that. But I do try to outsource the things that really take a lot of time and that are not my expertise. I did do copywriting for several years, but that's not really my area of expertise anymore. So I have a copywriter. I can implement stuff onto a Squarespace site, but I'm not a developer, so I hired a developer. So I really try to stay within my SEO lane, doing some paid advertising as well, and client relations. Some clients just eat more time with calls and emails than others do, but that's okay. I think some clients want to be more hands-on. I don't blame them. Yeah.
So if you were to compare 2017, 2018, the way you ran your business, you did your tasks to get the SEO audit work, and then actually perform the SEO updates as needed to get people to the rankings pre-AI and now. How are those two worlds different? And how are they not different?
Well, I think as with anybody, the expectation for volume of work has changed. Really, when I think about this question, it kind of brings a feeling of frustration because there seems to be this idea that AI can do more than it can. I've seen some really trash work come through, like SEO work. It's obviously like an SEMrush export uploaded to GPT and they said, give me recommendations, and they don't make sense. And then I try to clean up that mess. So I want to do good work for my clients. I don't necessarily want to do fast work. It's not worth the sacrifice of that for me, just as my values. However, I think just as anyone would say, GPT is pretty good at just analyzing bulk data and giving you insights that way. I'm able to do a lot of technical tasks at scale better nowadays than I used to. So I think it is exciting for clients to see that, like, for instance, I have a client with, 100,000 pages on the website. They sell a lot of products, e-commerce website, and they have a hornet's nest of technical problems. Those technical problems are made easier to fix now with GPT because I'm not going line by line. So that's nice. The error, depending upon AI for strategy and the reasoning behind it and trying to consult with the client, AI is just not there yet. That's the reality. Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. If we are to look at a typical week for you, right? Balancing hands-on SEO work alongside running the agency, right? What does that week look like?
Well, nowadays, I spend the vast majority of my time with Publicis Group work. Smedley Digital has slowed down a lot, especially since the news in Iran actually was reported to me as a reason why budgets were getting tight with some of my financial sector clients, I will say. I think investors were getting a little sheepish. So the Publicis work has picked up, but when there's Smedley Digital work to do, I'm usually doing that after I'm done with my Publicis stuff in the evenings. There's still some trickling ends of people wanting consultation, so I may do that here and there. But I'm actually working on repositioning what Smedley Digital does from something that I think is a little bit oversaturated in the market to something that doesn't exist, and it's something that I actually feel passionate about. So I could talk about that for a little bit. Traditionally, SEO agencies provide services in which they help your website rank better. All these different activities, you can dime a dozen. What I've noticed is a lack of accountability and governance. In the accounting world, even if you're getting a new roof, there's going to be more than one inspector that comes out. You're going to have your home insurance look at the roof, and you're going to have a roofer. And then you weigh them. Well, SEO is kind of in the dark for a lot of companies. They just have to trust what their agency's putting forth and hope that it works.
Yeah.
I think that there's a gap there. I mean, I've been in the industry long enough to see this. So I'm wanting to offer for the first time what I'm calling SEO governance, in which a company who is thinking about investing in SEO, maybe they already are, can come to me, say, yeah, here's what our SEO agencies are planning to do. I'm going to let you see all of our tickets, their deliverables, Google Analytics, everything. Just give it to me. And I'm going to go through each of those things and say, keep, cut, question. And then I'm going to provide primary sources as to why those recommendations are there. I'm going to present it to the client and say, look, maybe I'll say your agency's doing amazing. They're doing everything they should. Their priorities are in place. But maybe I'll say half of this really isn't going to help you. It just don't spend your money here, and here's why. That's missing. We don't have governance in this industry. So I'm trying to pivot to that. And one last thing I'll say is anyone that engages in governance with me is no longer eligible for optimization services afterward, to ensure I don't have a conflict of interest, because the real purpose of most SEO audits are to sell you the work from the problems found in the audit. So I don't want that being part of the equation in what I do. Now, I'm not throwing anyone under the bus. There's great agencies out there. Every agency I've worked for, I'm proud of my work that I've done, but that's just not the case with everybody. So I just want to provide a second opinion that's unbiased.
So essentially what you're saying is you've got that as a non-compete so they don't think you're going after somebody's business. But the way you build trust is by being that trust but verify kind of guy that is like, hey, I'm just checking your homework and I'll tell you what's good and what I don't think is good, but that's it, right?
And then I'll leave and I'm gone.
Right. That's actually a very noble positioning because it's very transparent and there's no ulterior motive that can follow after the fact.
Yeah. And I'm hoping that some of the perceived value with hiring me is that I've done SEO at the two largest agencies in the world. I've done in-house, I have my own business. I've seen every angle of the SEO industry, the good, bad, and ugly. So I have a pretty good idea of how to evaluate what's going on. I don't know of anyone else doing something like this, but then I don't know how to communicate this exactly. I hope I'm doing a good job at it now, but like just candidly, how am I going to get in touch with or find people wanting this? There are about 100 people per month searching for keywords related to this. So naturally I can optimize for that on my website, but I kind of want to shake some hands and meet people that need this. I don't really know where to find it, just being honest. So that's a challenge yet to be discovered.
Well, hopefully this podcast reaches folks that are searching for SEO, as those will be one of the keywords that will be on the post. So, but let's hope we can put that in motion.
That'd be great. Jacob at smedleydigital.com, emblazon it on the video. Yeah.
Yeah. So you talked a little bit about relationship-based networking and business development. So how do you approach that? And this solo turn boutique founder, right? Is it mostly referrals, local meetups, or is it a mix of channels? What is that?
It's local meetups, referrals, and LinkedIn.
Got it.
I've gotten in my career, I believe, 7 job offers just from LinkedIn. Optimizing your profile for keywords is super powerful, by the way. LinkedIn is big opportunity. Going in person, I try to think of what makes me want to do business with someone. Well, for me, a cold call isn't attractive. Cold email is not attractive. Also, that doesn't really represent my business very well. My business is very personable. So local meetups has been successful as well. Like even just going to a business meetup, just in general, I don't care what it's about. Afterwards, after the seminar, I'll go meet people. This is what I do. What do you do? I'm not hard selling. I just want people to be aware of what I do. And if you need me, here I am. So I just try to be as natural, real life about it as possible. Yeah.
Yeah. And oftentimes that's the way you can build trust, right? When I started this podcast, right, I was in similar shoes where you can go to so many events and talk to so many people, but then there's always noise in the room and there's always interruptions. So how do you have that one-on-one networking event where you can put out some thought leadership, talk to people that are moving and shaking in the industry and build a trust-based relationship that can stand the test of time? So that's how this came about.
Yeah, the flow tends to go that I go to a more general business meetup with entrepreneurs present. Quick conversation. They can see my face. They've got my information. I just want to make it known what I do and who I am. That's it. And then I go on to the next person. But if someone is in need of SEO, it'll continue. Like they want the service. So if it does continue, we meet one-on-one and talk about it. We have an in-depth conversation like what's going on? You ever done SEO before? Or what are your goals here? And then we get it moving from there. So I try to kind of start broad and then narrow in on the folks that are interested in what I do. One-on-one, meet up in person, or Google Meet, whatever's most convenient.
Absolutely. While we're on that subject, right? While we're talking about finding that personalized connection, you did mention when we talked earlier that you find personal purpose in your work, even inside big corporate structure. How does that perspective shape how you run Smedley Digital day to day?
Yeah, so I used to go to this group called Kingdom Entrepreneurs. Highly recommend. It's in Cedar Park or Austin now. I was finding people that align with my values, not just going there to take business for myself to learn, so that even if I came out of the meetup without any leads, it was worth my time, and it really was. And so I look for people that share my values, and that's the first thing I do. I'm not trying to be like exclusionary here, but that particular meetup was designed for specifically Christian business owners to meet up and talk about the struggles they have in their business as it relates to the Christian life. So for me, that's how I want to run my life. And the guiding principle here for me as a Christian to display the glory of God through everything I'm doing. And I'm reading this wonderful book by Tim Keller. It's called Every Good Endeavor. It talks about work from a Christian perspective. It's very important because if we're going to be sitting in an office for 8 hours a day doing something, it better matter. That's what I think. So some of these jobs, like mine, involve working away in an Excel sheet, doing tiny little details on a web page, sending it off, waiting 4 weeks to get implemented, you start to wonder, how is this contributing to the world? And that can put you in a pretty tough place mentally, going to work week after week. But for me, especially in this book that I read, was talking about how, well, there are 7 billion people on the planet. We're each trying to contribute the best we can. And it's better to have order than disorder. And so when I'm doing my little Excel sheet and there's something small broken on a website and I'm fixing it, I'm bringing about order to an unordered, chaotic website, and ultimately will help people find the products and services they want easier. Like just today, I was making sure that our API calls in Merchant Center for Google, like Google Shopping, was reading our return policy correctly. And so then I follow that logic. Well, how does that impact the world? Well, there's actually a pretty close connection to impact there, because whenever you're looking on Google, there are rich snippets below the products that may say 2 to 3 day delivery, free return policy, right? If you're not aware of a return policy and you buy it and hate the product and then you can't return it, now you're out $200 on this expensive frying pan. That's what it was.
Right.
And that hurts an everyday family. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking of, I'm fixing this API call today so that the family knows that they can return their frying pan, get their $200 back, and now they can take their kid out for a birthday dinner. So you see how I'm trying to tie technical tasks to real life impact.
Yeah, absolutely.
Super dang important to do that. And if someone listening hasn't done that and struggles to find meaning like I do, especially in tech work, go ahead, like follow it, like write it out on paper, like a chart. I do this, then this happens, and you'll see it.
Yeah. It's like the book of Genesis.
Yes. So in the book of Genesis, God makes everything out of nothing. And then he tells Adam to tend the garden. What happens if Adam doesn't tend the garden? An untended garden is a jungle. So he had work to do. He was assigned work to do in his life. And this was before the fall of man. And God said that this is good. So my mindset has shifted from seeing work as a necessary evil to make money and then live to, wait, work is inherently good and we need to be working. Think about people in a nursing home. What is their struggle? Well, number one is maybe their family doesn't see them as much as possible, the lack of human connection. I think number two, though, is feeling like they have a lack of purpose.
Sure.
They don't need to work anymore, but they sure do want to. They want to contribute. So be thankful for what you're doing. You can tell I'm passionate about this because,
Yes.
I mean, this was a crisis for me. I'm like, what am I doing? But when you think about work is good, I'm making order, I'm showing the character of Christ to my teammates in stressful situations, I'm being bold when I need to be, doing great. That's an encouragement to listener.
Right. So we were talking about how there's an inherent good in putting order into something that's chaotic. So I think that's brilliant that it resonates with your personal purpose. And of course, that there's an inherent goodness in that, right? So as we pivot into the next section of the podcast, I would love to speak with you about your agency's position and the landscape for the industry, right? So your Smedley Digital's whole positioning is fancy agency quality at a fraction of the cost. Right?
Exactly.
So that being said, right, what major shifts are you seeing right now in SEO and search behavior, especially with AI overviews and AI search, changing how people find businesses and have changed their research habits, I guess?
Yeah. Well, first off, that slogan, fancy agency quality at a fraction of the cost, is true. That's because we don't waste time. We don't have 10 people on a project that needs 2 people. We're laser focused on what matters for you. Maybe our PowerPoints are not as pretty as what you'll get, but you're going to pay 5x for that? Up to you. Anyway, AI has changed a lot of the conversations that I have. However, fun fact, a recent study just published a couple weeks ago found that traditional search engine traffic is actually growing at a faster rate than LLM search traffic. And LLM searches account for something like 2% of the search landscape. So, yeah, it is interesting. So I'm going to go post that on my LinkedIn. Not to minimize the advent and the awe of AI technology and how useful it is, but I think there's a little bit of AI fatigue happening finally, in which there's hallucinations and just almost lying on behalf of the bot. I don't trust that thing. So, but you want to get ahead of the curve. You really do. If you have a product feed, you need to make sure it's crawlable by AI bots because people will find you through LLMs. You need to have the proper performance tracking set up to track mentions and citations within the bots themselves. That's new technology, by the way, and AI overview. You don't track it in the same way that you do a search engine result page. You need a different tool for that. Your SEO agency should be setting up prompt tracking. They should be able to tell you your percentage of visibility share among your competitors within ChatGPT, not just traditional rankings. So I'm not minimizing the importance, but I think I'm trying to bring it back down to reality. Your SEO strategy should involve traditional search. Do not sacrifice it. I think a better acronym now is, it's buzzwordy, but I like it. Search everywhere optimization is the mindset now. The search engine optimization has simply expanded into AI. Nothing has been replaced. SEO is dead. That hashtag has been used for the past 20 years. So it's died like 20 times, and we're still here using Google. So people will always be searching for things that they want. Yeah.
Well, the stats that you mentioned, it might have to do with the fact that a lot of people don't necessarily have an AI subscription. So they've used it maybe once a week or something, and 5 prompts later, it says, okay, that's all you get for free. And they're not wanting to invest the $20 to get the first tier subscription, right? Which is your average. And so they just decided that, hey, you know what? The old way wasn't so bad. And they just went back to regular SEO to do their searches. Now, granted, right? People like us, we use AI a little differently. We've used it in a lot more purposeful, efficiency creating, repetitive tasks, monkey, right? Versus if they're just like, hey, I need oil change near me. They're just look for an oil change near me, right? And they'll get Jiffy Lube and NTB, I don't know, like whatever's around here, right?
Yes.
A quick car, and that's it. That's all they want to know. And they'll pick up the phone and they'll call instead of having AI do the work to see who's got a coupon, who doesn't have a coupon. So that might be, but I would love to see more detail on what those results have uncovered, because this is curious, because we are thinking like tech people and we're like, why not use AI to do this? Because it'll give you better data points to help you make decisions better, not just here's 5 options, pick one.
And when you're making a big purchase decision or an important one, I think it's important to understand the whole brand. You're looking at reviews, you're looking at the about page, the testimonial page, you're looking at their other products, you're looking at their competitor website. I just don't feel comfortable with allowing AI to present the full list of options next time I need a mortgage. I want to do a little bit of digging myself. Maybe I'm starting to sound like an old man. I don't know. But I think more people than I realize may share that sentiment with me. But I don't want to downplay the importance of being visible in AI tools. Very important.
Yeah, this is great. The conversation we've just had has kind of covered the next 2 things I was going to ask you, which is, will AI replace SEO, right? I think we answered that with it's complementing SEO, but it's not going to replace it. And organic searches are free. You're not paying for them. AI searches are costing tokens. And at some point, you got to start paying if you're doing more than 3 prompts a day or 5 prompts a day, whatever it is now that the minimum is.
And I'll say this too about how SEO may or may not replace, or AI may not replace SEO. The acronym right now, there's a lot of them. GEO, Generative Engine Optimization, is kind of describing the activities required to be visible in AI tools, right? So there's like GEO and there's SEO. Okay, but no matter whether you're using an AI tool or you're using a traditional search engine, what is the goal of those tools in providing you your results? It wants to provide you with highly relevant content that bots can crawl easily. Okay, both sides. So 90% of the AI optimization techniques overlap with search engine optimization techniques. Google has spent a long time providing us with highly relevant results. If you look back 25 years ago, we didn't have nearly the quality of the results that we have now. And so OpenAI isn't trying to reinvent the wheel here. Google's algorithm is quite good. So the main takeaway is make your website easily crawlable by AI tools. That's technical SEO side of the house. And make sure that you're providing real value in your content and that it's clear. That's the content side of the house, right? That's the end game here. So it's not like there are SEO agencies out there that are acting like they've discovered the secret sauce to just boom, you're going to be instantly visible in AI tools. And if you look at what they're doing, it's almost identical to SEO tactics.
Yeah. They're just adding an extra brain layer to it, if you will, just to kind of turbocharge it.
Yeah.
No, this is great. So let's talk a little bit about your case studies, right? So some of your case studies span private real estate, lending, mortgage, asset management, nonprofit fundraising. Is that vertical focus intentional? And what is separate from that? What does an ideal client look like for Smedley Digital?
I think it was because my first two clients were in the financial sector and I became very interested in lending. I learned a lot. I wrote 369 articles about consumer mortgages. We were outranking Bankrate, Investopedia, NerdWallet, Motley Fool. Yeah, as just a Texas mortgage lender, we were outranking them for really important educational mortgage content. And so this is what I talked about a lot on LinkedIn and in person with people. I think that kind of just naturally has similar businesses gravitate towards me in conversation. When I first started working at WPP Group, they knew where I was coming from. I was coming from Fairway Mortgage, and they knew that Smedley Digital had a client, Capstone Capital Partners, was private lending. And so the first opportunity I had to work with WPP Group was on a major asset manager, household name. And they stuck me on that because I knew how to do it. So that bolstered my portfolio even more. Now I'm working with another household name asset manager. So I kind of hate to use the phrase, but it's just a case of follow the money.
Yeah.
That's what was offered to me. And I'm really interested in it, which is a nice combo. So I've probably worked in every industry possible. Like I would switch between institutional asset management and then like pet medication, like the heart dog.
Yeah.
I would do that in one day. And it was funny flip-flopping.
Yeah. As we look into the future, right, for Smedley Digital's goals for the next 12 to 18 months, what's one significant challenge that if solved would make the biggest impact on y'all accomplishing your goals?
Getting in front of the right people, for sure. I can communicate the offering and the importance of it, can nail it. I've got the expertise, can nail it. How do I make my potential customers aware that this exists? I don't know. I'm trying though. So I'm going to be recording videos of me talking about real examples where governance is needed, like share my screen, post that on LinkedIn. I'm going to optimize my website with articles that deal with SEO second opinion, SEO governance. Is it worth it? Things of that nature.
Right.
I want to hire a videographer that I used to use in the past to make a promo video. So I just want to give my followers on LinkedIn, there's like 7,000 or 8,000 followers, a window into what's going on to see my face. That's what I'm going to try first. I might get into Google ads a little bit. Maybe there's some meetups possible, but this is pretty specific. So if anyone has pointers, let me know. If I knew the answer to that question, I'd probably have a few more.
Absolutely. So, of course, referrals and personal relationships clearly built the agency early on, right? What's working exceptionally well in client acquisition today, and where do you see untapped potential?
I think what works in client acquisition is doing a great job for existing clients, being really personable, caring about them. That's kind of rare nowadays. That as soon as they hear that a colleague is looking for SEO, I'm the obvious choice to have a conversation with. So use what you have. The biggest challenge, I think, right now, man, budgets are tight everywhere. Clients are really sheepish to spend. I think that there's a perception that AI can make everything 10% of the cost. And to explain that, why, well, that's not the case here. We need a person looking at this and uncovering this. So those are the two hurdles that I see. But I hope that a personal touch and really outstanding work and the ability to explain complex topics can carry me over those challenges.
Yeah, for sure. So if you could wave a magic wand and instantly solve one problem with the agency related to growth or efficiency, what would that be?
Related to growth, be something I already touched on. Having the right people be aware of my offering.
Gotcha.
So that would be that. For efficiency, we need a little more honesty. I'm not pointing at anyone in particular, FYI. We need a little bit more honesty when it comes to, is that activity really needed for client success? Do we really need 10 people on this project? Do we really need a daily stand-up? You'd be amazed at the cost savings by cutting out some of that stuff. I try to have a list of 3 to 5 things I do in the day. Kevin O'Leary, a little bit of a controversial guy, but he talked about Steve Jobs' method of getting stuff done. It's called a signal to noise ratio.
Yes.
Right? Have you heard of this?
Yep.
So
He mentioned Elon Musk too.
as
All
100%.
signal, no noise, right?
Exactly. So
Yeah.
whatever he's doing in the day is directly related to the outcomes that he wants. So how much noise can you eliminate if you took an honest audit? How much stuff are you doing that's really not doing anything? Cut as much of
Correct.
that out as you can. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. What they call it, non-revenue generating, non-needle moving activities.
Yeah. If you're trying to move the needle, then you don't do that.
So in terms of SEO governance, right? It's fair to say that you guys are the people that will check somebody's homework and if the assignment's done well or there's still room for improvement, right? If we were to encapsulate this for our audience.
Yes. SEO governance is an educated, unbiased second opinion on the SEO activities happening or about to happen on your site. From me, someone that has seen it all, in-house business owner, big agency, I know where inefficiencies lie, and I can back up the recommendations with primary source Google documentation. I'm not here to just rag on your agency. I'm here to just take an honest audit of waste and efficiency. And I'm completely open to that answer being your SEO agency is great. Keep going. That might be the answer, but it might not be.
Yeah, for sure. As we move into the next section, which talks about operational efficiency and long-term plans, are there any repetitive tasks, outreach, reporting, content production, etc., that consume a significant time but don't directly contribute to growth or move the needle, right? In the words that we just used.
Yes. So many companies employ more than one SEO agency. Nothing inherently wrong with that, but they'll split them up. Like this one does content, this one does technical. And you try to make sure that they don't overlap so you don't pay for the same thing twice. That's respectful.
Right. Right.
But the reality is that your website might have a massive content problem, but be in pretty decent shape technically. Okay. What's the percentage chance that your technical agency is ever going to come out and say that to you? It's going to shoot themselves in the foot for no reason, quote unquote.
Yeah.
So I think having, again, sorry, this sounds like self-promo. It's really not. Having someone come in over the top to say, here's the problem with your website. Looks like you're spending 50-50 of your spend, technical content, but 90% of your problem is a lack of content. I would recommend shifting some budget over. So you have these conflicts of interest that create inefficiencies. And in this example, the technical side of the house is kind of repeating the same audit over and over, finding one little thing that doesn't really matter, spending 8 hours on it, that can be cut out.
Yeah, for sure. If we talk about metrics, right? What metrics are most critical to you to track and prove SEO ROI, right? To clients like your mortgage or your capital partners clients. And are there areas where you feel you lack clear visibility?
Yes. So 2-part question. First question is, what are the real KPIs to measure SEO success? The best KPI, hear me out, to measure SEO success is how much your dang client is making. How much money do they make off of what you do?
Sure.
Keyword rankings are the path to that. Traffic then is next. Submitting the lead form is next. But do they convert? So that starts at the keyword optimization level, by the way. We need to be optimizing for things that are feasibly converting intent. Okay. So is my client making money from what I'm doing? That's the KPI now. The difficulty in tracking that is exponential and most of the time impossible. I have once in my career actually been able to track the results from a deliverable I give, SEO deliverable, all the way to the money that my client makes. That was amazing. But it took about a year to set that up.
Yeah.
Because there's all sorts of CRMs that have to talk to each other, right? I won't say what client that is, but we were able to see keyword ranking, traffic, lead submission, the next step, I can't say, and then the sale. So I could actually say, hey, client, I made you X dollars this year. And that's the best thing possible. Now, this is a double-edged sword when you do this because the immediate return doesn't represent the full return. There are people that have filled out your lead form and been to your website that just aren't ready to purchase this
Sure.
until next year. There are people that won't ever purchase that will refer their friends and family to you for the next year, et cetera, et cetera. So there's an uncoverable amount of benefit to SEO as well. And I don't say that as a scapegoat. It's just, that's reality.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. And SEO, I know, is one area where it's not instant gratification, right? It takes time to build. It takes time to index. It takes time to show up in the rankings. It's like, for lack of a better analogy, you drop a single today, and by the time it makes the top of the charts, it might be a few weeks or months. So kind of like that. Beyond the day-to-day, what's the long-term vision for Smedley Digital, and what strategic partners or relationships do you believe will be essential to realize that vision?
Yeah, the vision is to be able to provide SEO governance, I think, especially to very large operations, probably Fortune 500 companies that have so much complexity and a lack of visibility into what's going on. Very busy stakeholders that don't have the time to learn SEO. That's where I fit in really well because I can explain what's going on in business terms that they can understand. So the vision is to have guys like that rely on me to have a clear window into what's going on. I mean, I feel like that really can make a difference. And again, bringing order to disorder. And overall, it will improve the quality of SEO in the long run, whatever impact I can have. So
Brilliant. Well, as we get to the end of our recording, are there any pieces of advice or any recommendations for our audience that you would like to leave behind?
yeah, I think above all of this conversation, consider why you're so interested in learning more about how to scale your business. Again, I always like to get down to the root of issues, so just strap in for 2 minutes. At first, the reason that I wanted to build a business was to make a whole bunch of money and get really cool things and earn respect from my peers and my parents and everyone else. That's why. Understand that can be a pretty fruitless pursuit. And when you accomplish a goal, it doesn't seem as sweet as it did when you were working on it. There is no end to the pursuit of riches. So finding the real reason why you want to do this is important, because if it's just to make money, you're going to burn out or feel unfulfilled. This has been something I've been working on. I still struggle with it. Of course, I want to be successful in this way, but why? That's the question. So, man, some of us need to take a break and take a deep breath and say, phew, oh man, I've been grinding for so long. Why? And that might really change the trajectory of your business or your life.
Yeah, for sure. Well, this is good food for thought. So thank you for sharing that. And it's been fun getting to know a little bit more about your business and just your philosophy and how you see things, how you run things, what's the mindset behind it, and your values, right? So appreciate you making time to be with us on the last day of the week and before the weekend kicks in and the fun starts. So
thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. Thanks for listening to my philosophical monologues. I think that they're quite important even for business owners too. And I hope the listeners don't take me to be too dogmatic. I understand everyone's different, but asking yourself some of these foundational questions can really lead you into a more satisfied work life, ultimately.
yeah,
That's what I hope.
absolutely. It's been a pleasure. And again, appreciate you being part of this. And we'll definitely be staying in touch to see how we can help others realize that sometimes having somebody to check their homework is not a bad idea.
Yeah. Yeah. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you so much, Jacob. Have a good next hour of the workday and the weekend.
Hopefully, I might have to finish some things up, but you too. Have a good one.
Thank you.